Before GPS maps, before ABS, before traction control, off-roading was simple. It was just you, the bike, the mud, and God. In the 70s, 80s, and 90s, two-stroke bikes weren't just a trend. They were the only logical choice for the countryside, the mountains, and rough roads. Lightweight, cheap, powerful, easy to fix with a 13mm wrench and some know-how. And out of all of them, only a few stood out. They became legends. Today we're going to talk about the 10 two-stroke off-road bikes that define generations, the ones that are still running when many modern ones are already in the junkyard. Number 10. Kawasaki KE175, the quiet one. The KE175 is that bike nobody brags about, but everyone respects it. The Kawasaki KE175 was designed as a tool, not as an object of desire. Its single-cylinder two-stroke engine, with a simple carburetor and air cooling, was designed to work in any condition with the least possible maintenance. It wasn't aiming for high RPMs or spectacular numbers. It was built to always start, to push with dignity, and to get you home without breaking anything. It was honest mechanics with no tricks or pretensions. In rural areas, isolated towns, and forgotten roads, the KE175 earned a reputation of being tough as iron, caked in mud up to the axles, fine dust that kills engines, scorching heat, or months without decent maintenance. The Kawasaki kept rolling. Its sturdy frame, simple yet tough suspension, and gentle power delivery made it ideal for people who needed a motorcycle every day, not just on weekends. It wasn't fast, it wasn't pretty, but it was reliable. And out in the country, that matters more than any extra horsepower. The KE175 was never the star of posters or legendary races, but it was the star of thousands of real-life stories. Going to work, crossing hills, carrying loads, learning to ride on dirt. It was the bike that taught us real prestige doesn't always make noise. Sometimes it just starts up, runs, and comes back. Number 9. Suzuki TS185, the blue tractor. The TS didn't accelerate, it pushed. The Suzuki TS185 was the direct answer, a straight and no-nonsense response from Suzuki to Yamaha DT's dominance. But while the DT aimed to be versatile and popular, the TS was designed as a workhorse. Its single-cylinder two-stroke engine was tuned to deliver torque from low revs, not to run at high RPMs. That made it ideal for carrying heavy loads, climbing slow inclines, and crossing terrain where other bikes would simply give up. Its reputation was built far from the spotlight, out in the fields, the mountains, on destroyed roads, thick, muddy trails, and long, relentless workdays. Robust frame, stiff suspension, simple mechanics, and an almost insulting tolerance for abuse. It could run on questionable gas, cheap oil, and sporadic maintenance and still start up like nothing was wrong. The TS was the bike that didn't ask where you were going, it just took you there. It wasn't as agile as a pure enduro or as light as an off-road sport bike, but it made up for everything with character and toughness. For many rural workers, it was as essential a tool as a shovel or a machete. And that's where its legend lies, not in racing, but in surviving where others couldn't. If the DT was popular, the TS was the tool. Number 8. Honda MTX 200. The ahead-of-its-time one. In the mid-'80s, Honda asked itself an uncomfortable question. What if we put truly modern technology into a two-stroke? That's how the MTX 200 was born. A trail bike that seemed to come from the future, when most were still running on basic carburetors and air cooling. From the start, it was clear this wasn't going to be a tame or popular bike. Instead, it was a more ambitious and demanding technical proposal. It came with a 195cc single-cylinder two-stroke engine, liquid-cooled with CDI ignition. It had a Keihin carburetor and a 6-speed gearbox, delivering around 30 horsepower, an extremely high figure for an off-road bike of its time. It weighed just over 110 kilos drale. Some versions had a front disc brake, firmer suspension, and a chassis built to handle high speeds without falling apart. The result was a bike that didn't deliver power smoothly. It exploded. It revved up quickly. It demanded clutch control, precision, and a delicate touch. It didn't forgive mistakes or go easy on the inattentive. It wasn't as forgiving in neglect as a DT or a TS. It required maintenance, attention, and constant respect from the rider. That's why it was misunderstood in its time, and today it's a true collector's item. It wasn't a bike to learn on or to ride calmly. It was a bike built to attack, a two-stroke. Ahead of its time, it proved that Honda also knew how to go wild, but always with engineering behind it. Number 7. Yamaha IT250. The Iron Enduro bike. This wasn't motocross, this was pure endurance. The Yamaha IT250 was born in the late 1970s as a bike designed exclusively for enduro, back when the concept wasn't fully defined yet. It had a single-cylinder, two-stroke, 246 cubic centimeters air-cooled engine with power delivery much more manageable than an MX, but just as forceful when you really twisted the throttle. The engine was tuned for mid-range torque and reliability, not for violent bursts. Simple carburetor, robust ignition, and mechanics designed for hours and hours of continuous use, not for short heats. It didn't scream like an IZ, it just kept pushing without tiring. The frame was made of reinforced steel, with long, comfortable suspension designed to absorb rocks, roots, and rough trails. It wasn't light, but it was balanced and reliable, perfect for long rides and constant punishment. In the desert, mountains, or jungle, the IT kept going when others needed a break. The IT250 didn't want to win races, it just wanted to make it to the end. It was widely used in rallies, treks, and amateur enduro, earning a reputation as a reliable, tough, and easy-to-maintain bike. It never had the popularity of the DT, but among those who knew it, it remained one of the most honest two-strokes ever made. Today, it's a sought-after classic, a symbol of a time when bikes weren't designed for likes or marketing, but to survive the terrain. A Yamaha made to get lost far away and make it back. Number 6. Thank you. Kawasaki KDX 200, the pure enduro bike. Here we're getting into serious territory where mistakes aren't forgiven. The KDX 200 wasn't a disguised trail bike or an adapted motocross bike. It was enduro from the very first bolt. It had a 198cc single-cylinder two-stroke engine, tuned to deliver usable torque from low revs, and a clean pull at the top end with a Kips exhaust valve that smoothed out the kick without losing character. Lightweight, narrow, and with a low center of gravity, it moved between trees as if it could read the terrain. The chassis was simple but effective, with suspension designed to withstand hours of punishment, not just a 20-minute heat. Adequate brakes, natural ergonomics, and a sense of control that let you go fast without feeling like you were on the edge. And that's why it was so beloved in both amateur and professional enduro. It didn't wear you out, never let you down, and always responded. The KDX didn't make noise, they made lap times. Its reputation was built on stopwatches, not marketing. In forests, over rocks, and through mud, the KDX was consistent lap after lap, while others became unpredictable. Easy to maintain, with accessible spare parts and legendary reliability. It earned the respect of riders at every level. Today, it's a cult bike because it stands for a clear idea. Enduro isn't shouted, it's proven. Number 5. Yamaha DT125 and DT175. The teachers. If you learned to ride off-road, it was probably on a DT. And that's not just a saying. The DT125 and DT175 were the real-world school, the bikes that taught you without punishing you and stuck with you when you were ready to go further. Both were born with the same philosophy. True dual purpose. Able to get you to work on Monday and get lost in the mud on the weekend. Without asking for tools or forgiveness, the DT125 was the perfect entry point. Single-cylinder two-stroke. Air-cooled, simple carburetor, gentle power, and lightweight. It didn't scare you, it didn't betray you, and it forgave your mistakes. Ideal for learning traction, posture, and how to read the terrain. Its mechanics were so basic that anyone could maintain it. Get the mix right, keep the spark plug clean, and ride. It taught you to feel off-road, not just survive it. The 125 didn't rush you, it explained things to you. The DT175 was the next natural step up. Same concept, more power. With a bigger engine and more torque, it lets you travel loaded, climb long hills, and keep your pace on rough roads. It was still light and reliable, but now it had enough character to join you on real adventures. In Latin America, it was everywhere. Countryside, mountains, small towns, back roads. It ran on questionable gas, any kind of oil, and with minimal maintenance. The 175 didn't demand from you, it had your back. Both shared qualities that today seem impossible to replicate. Extreme simplicity, spare parts everywhere, natural ergonomics, and a toughness that bordered on the absurd. They weren't the fastest or the most modern, but they were always ready. That's why they left their mark on generations. The 125 made riders. The 175 made stories. The DT didn't make you a rider, it made you free. Number 4. Bultaco Persang, the Wild Catalan. Europe didn't want to last, it wanted to win. The Bultaco Persang was born in the mid-1960s in Barcelona, Spain, at a time when motocross was violent, physical, and uncompromising. While Japan was starting to think about reliability and mass production, Bultaco was thinking about stopwatches, podiums, and dirt in your face. The Persang wasn't a trail bike, it wasn't a daily use motorcycle, it was a pure competition bike, barely disguised as a production model. Its name said it all. Persang comes from pur sang, purebred, and that was exactly the philosophy, a beast bred to race. Ultralight tubular steel frame, aggressive geometry, short wheelbase, and a riding position that forced you to attack every inch of the track. There was no comfort, no smoothness, no room for distraction. The engine was a single-cylinder two-stroke that evolved over the years and with different displacements. 125, 175, 250, and even 360 cubic centimeters. They all shared the same DNA. Violent power delivery, instant response, and a constant feeling that the bike wanted to go faster than you. None of that Japanese smoothness. You twisted the throttle and things happened. If the Japanese bike gave you a warning, the Bultaco just pushed you. Lightness was one of its greatest weapons. At a time when many bikes were heavy and clumsy, the Persang felt like a bicycle on steroids. That made it devastating in the hands of expert riders, especially on tight tracks, short jumps, and rough terrain. But it also made it punishing. Vibrations, frequent maintenance, finicky carburation, and mechanics that demanded constant attention. This was not a bike you could forget about at the shop. In competition, the Persang was a real star. It won national championships. It was widely used in the United States and Europe. and helped build Bultaco's reputation as a brand obsessed with racing. Compared to the Japanese bikes, the difference was clear. The Japanese bikes were more reliable. The Bultaco was faster if you knew how to handle it. The Persang didn't teach you, it tested you. With the arrival of the late 70s, Japan began to dominate with increasingly complete motorcycles. And Bultaco? With fewer industrial resources, it fell behind. But the Persang was never forgotten. Today, it's a cult bike, sought after by collectors, restorers, and lovers of classic motocross. Not because it was perfect, but because it was honest, wild, and unfiltered. The Bultaco Persang wasn't made to last for decades. It was made to win races and leave you with memories that still hurt. Because there was a time when motocross didn't forgive, and the Persang was one of its sharpest weapons. Number 3, Honda CR500, the chainsaw from hell. Here, you don't just ride, you survive. The Honda CR500 wasn't just a powerful bike. It was the physical limit of two-stroke motocross. It was born in 1984 as Honda's answer to a question no one had asked. How much violence can a human handle on two wheels? And the answer was clear, more than most people could take. It had a 491cc liquid-cooled single-cylinder two-stroke engine, delivering brutal, immediate, and merciless power. There was no electronics, no rider aids, no modern smoothness. At low revs, it seemed calm. And suddenly, without warning, all hell would break loose. The famous hit of the CR500 was so violent, it could rip your hands off the handlebars if you weren't ready. You didn't accelerate, you detonated. The Kickstarter. It became part of its dark legend. The infamous kickback made history. If you didn't follow the exact ritual, piston up, decompressor, half kick, back to position, the bike would answer your attempt with a kick strong enough to break ankles, knees, and egos. Many learned mechanics. Others learned orthopedics. In terms of numbers, it was insane. Around 65 horsepower in a chassis, relatively light for its engine size. The result was a power-to-weight ratio that even today is still intimidating. It wasn't as agile as a 250, nor as tame as a modern 450. It was long, demanding, physical. On long straights, dunes, deep sand, and desert, it had no rival. In expert hands, it was devastating. The CR500 didn't forgive mistakes, it amplified them. It wasn't a bike for everyone, and Honda never tried to make it one. In fact, many professional riders admitted they never felt comfortable with it. It required strength, technique, respect, and a cool head. But if you managed to tame it, the status was immediate. The CR500 was a test of character. There was no need to explain it. Those who knew, knew. Its end came in 2001, when environmental regulations and the rise of four-strokes put an end to the big two-strokes. But far from dying, the legend grew. Today, the CR500 is an object of worship, a base for supermoto, hill climb, and off-road drag conversions, and is still considered by many to be the wildest production bike ever made. If you tamed a CR500, no one doubted you, because it wasn't a bike that made you a better rider. It was a bike that put you to the test. And if you survived, you earned respect forever. Number 2, KTM 300, the modern king. When everyone signed the death certificate for two-strokes, KTM grabbed the pen and wrote, Not yet. From the 90s until today, the KTM 300 proved something that seemed impossible. That a two-stroke could evolve, become more controllable, more effective, and faster than many modern four-strokes. It wasn't nostalgia, it was engineering hungry for victory. The formula was perfect. Single-cylinder two-stroke with 293 cubic centimeters, liquid cooling, advanced exhaust valve, and an insanely low weight. While other brands abandoned the concept, KTM refined it year after year until it became the absolute standard of modern enduro. Low-end torque to climb walls, explosive power at the top to shoot out, and for the first time in a big two-stroke, a power delivery that could actually be controlled. It wasn't brutal by accident, it was brutal by design. Unlike the CR500, which tamed you with brute force, the KTM 300 gave you options. You could ride smooth, technical, precise, or you could unleash the beast. It all depended on the rider. With the arrival of key upgrades like a hydraulic clutch, high-end WP suspension, electric start, and selectable ignition maps, the 300 became a lethal but smart machine. In competition, its impact was total. Extreme enduro, hard enduro, rallies, amateur and professional races. The KTM 300 became omnipresent. Graham Jarvis, Teddy Blazeusiak, and Medio Planeta showed that on impossible terrain, the two-stroke was still king. Lighter than any equivalent four-stroke, less tiring and with an almost magical grip at low speeds. The 300 didn't ask for strength, it asked for brains. With the arrival of TPI injection and later TBI, KTM finally silenced the critics. Less fuel consumption, fewer emissions, same wild soul. The two-stroke was no longer synonymous with smoke and quirks, but with extreme efficiency in the toughest terrain. Something no four-stroke has ever fully managed to copy. Today, the KTM 300 is not a museum piece. It's a living tool, current, feared, and respected. It's the ultimate proof that the two-stroke didn't die. It simply evolved. KTM did something unforgivable. They didn't just save the two-stroke, they made it perfect. And in first place, the Yamaha DT1, the mother of them all. In 1968, Yamaha did something no one had seriously considered before. To create a motorcycle designed from scratch to ride both on the street and off-road with no modifications, no excuses, and without asking for permission. Up until then, off-road riding was done on street bikes that had been modified or on competition machines that were impractical. The DT1 changed the rules of the game. It had a 246cc air-cooled single-cylinder two-stroke engine, lightweight, with good torque and a simple but effective power delivery. It wasn't looking for raw power. It aimed for total usability, with long travel suspension for its time, a large front wheel, upright riding position, and a toughness designed for rough roads, mud, dirt, and real adventure. The DT1 didn't ask where you were going, it went with you. What was revolutionary wasn't just the mechanics, it was the concept. For the first time, a brand was saying, you can ride to work during the week and get lost in the woods on the weekend with the same bike. That might seem obvious today, but in 1968, it was a cultural bombshell. The DT1 invented recreational off-road motorcycling, trail riding, dual-purpose bikes, and, without exaggeration, a whole new way of understanding freedom. Its impact was immediate. In the United States, it exploded in popularity among young people, adventurers, and regular folks who had never competed before. In Latin America, Asia, and Europe, it planted the seed for what would later become the DT, XT, XL, XR, TS, K, all direct descendants of this idea. They didn't copy the engine, they copied the philosophy. After the DT1, the countryside stopped being a boundary and became a destination. The DT1 was not the fastest, the most powerful, or the most sophisticated, but it was the most important. Without it, there wouldn't be the DT125, DT175, modern enduros, or even the very concept of an accessible off-road motorcycle. Yamaha didn't just create a motorcycle, it created an entire genre. The DT1 wasn't just a motorcycle. It was such a good idea that we're still copying it today. Everything else came after. These bikes weren't perfect. They were real. They were looking for likes. They weren't after lab records or marketing headlines. They were built to get there, to endure, to start up again when everything said they shouldn't. They were machines made for mud, dust, crashes, and human mistakes. They didn't have engine maps, traction control, or riding modes. They had iron, a fuel mix, and a personality that forced you to either learn or get off. They didn't have electronics, they had character. Each one of these bikes taught you something different. Patience, respect, technique, humility. They punished you if you were rough, rewarded you if you were precise. They didn't protect you, they shaped you. And that's why they left their mark, not just on the trails, but on entire generations of riders who learned to handle a bike before they learned to race. And when you know all this, when you understand where off-road comes from, where two-strokes come from, where this beautiful madness comes from, because those bikes weren't born in a computer, they didn't go through focus groups, they weren't designed to meet regulations, they were created through sheer grit, built on trial and error by riders who fell, got back up, and twisted the throttle again. And that's why they didn't just make history, they wrote it in mud. And if you want to check out some other two-stroke bikes, go ahead and click on this video. Please subscribe to our channel.